Hey, what a gorgeous day here in Seattle, and then I'm in Wallingford at the Good Shepherd Center. I'm here for an event for my friend, or actually my friend is in an event, I think, or she asked that I join, so hopefully I'm at the right place at the right time. I was told that the senior center is downstairs. So I'm going to give you a little background about Deborah Barnes and myself. We're both sort of in upcycling fashion, she more than myself. And I've just done one garment, which was an upcycling of a dress that I once wore to a wedding. Not a wedding dress, but as a bridesmaid. And I converted this dress into a bike riding dress. I actually took the zippers from some pants that were discarded, and I also took a long zipper from another discarded item and made it a zip-up bicycling dress. And I was really happy and proud of myself, so I entered the Sustainable Ballard fashion show, and that's where I met Deborah Barnes, who was there modeling her steampunk converted upcycled garments, which I thought were really cool. So there we were, kind of birds of a feather, and she has ever since continued to put on art displays, exhibits for the public, trying to put forth her philosophy about fashion and what has happened to the garment industry and the whole clothes design industry in the United States with fast fashion and the exporting of all this type of art and fashion creation to the Far East and to countries where the labor is exploited for the creation of fast fashion.
When I was a kid, looking at Life magazine, and I saw Carnegie Street and the mods, and it was like such a difference from what I've seen around me. So I learned to sew. Mom helped me. Mom used to sew. Grandmother sewed. So I went to school. And I got my degree in apparel design and construction, and I was all excited. I worked for a while at a little place called Nelson's Sewing Machine Company, which was a second-generation family-run business downtown Seattle. And I became head of alterations. And he also let me start my own custom apparel business on site, because I guess I call it collaborative karma. He was a believer. I was there until 1993 when I set up Zoot Suit and was running my own business. Okay, 93. By 96, outsourcing was the big deal. This is a little thing from the Seattle Times, and it was the end of the garment manufacturing in Seattle. I actually remember going into a warehouse and picking up old, wool scraps that were wonderful. And it didn't impact me at first until I started seeing fabric prices go up. And I was making wedding gowns, and a lot of custom apparel. It runs the gamut from costumes to mother of the bride outfits. But by 2002, I realized, well, this wasn't going to work anymore. The fabric prices had gone so high and the garment prices had gone so down. So I went back to school. And I started getting involved with Sustainable Ballard, which started in the late 90s. And I was between Sustainable Ballard and the Meaningful Movies. And I don't know if any of you know about the Meaningful Movies, but they were at the Keystone Church just across the street here on 50th. two places vied for anything I was learning in school. In fact, I think I probably learned more, but from another lens, is how I like to say it. So I was going to school, and I meant to get like a classical job, but I was learning so much about what was being taught at school versus what I was learning in documentaries. Hello, here comes a tool to hear me. Thank you. Can you hear better?
No.
Oh,
It's not yet. It'll take a minute.
Thank you. So, we'll wait for that. Anyway, this is one of the things I was picking up in Sustainable Ballard. And it was to look at my own industry.
It's not on.
Oh, how do I turn it?
It's on. You just, I need you to
Testing,
on.
testing,
There.
testing, testing, testing.
There.
Ooh, reverb.
Oh, goodness.
Hold it up
And
to your mouth.
I started to really realize that fashion that I was seeing in fact, I started getting Vogue when I walked home from school. I mean, I was crazy. But what I was seeing was the fantasy world of fashion. You just see the glamour and the glitz. And I liked it. I still liked the photographs. But when I started learning what was under the industry and learning how cotton's a great fiber. But if it's grown in an area that needs irrigation, it takes so much water. I had the stats out in the window display, but I recently found out that a pound of tomatoes takes 26 gallons, and cotton is thirstier. So it's like, wow. Now that, it's how we use things, not, and what our values are, I think is really what I'm talking about here. So anyway, we have the carding and spinning, and the garment industry is ancient. It's been around forever, and it was one of the first industrial. Now I'm starting to get nervous. It's like, okay, thank you. So you go through the system, and it's the carbon footprint of transporting, and
Packaging market.
pardon?
Packaging market.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. And then it goes to retail, and then you're told buy, 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 and then hopefully it can be reused or recycled, but important, like conservation reduction is really what needs to be involved here. So, and here, this is a small little video about fast fashion that I found. It also talks about fashion because it's not just the physical, it's the image and the impact it has on emotions, and some of the things that have taught us how we're supposed to look. I mean, there's a lot going on in the fashion industry that we don't think about.
There's a lot of talk these days about the economy and how things are slowing down, and that possibly governments, including China and the United States, are deliberately trying to crash the economy. But when you think of it, is that really such a terrible thing? Is the ability to buy fast fashion and to have all sorts of garments that you will eventually, maybe in a few years, toss in a bag and hopefully find a willing acceptor of your discarded garments? When you think about it, there is a huge environmental cost associated with this fast fashion industry, and maybe it's really time to kind of take a step back and say that it might be just as good to wear your clothes longer, or even better, find a way of finding joy in things like upcycling your fashions and creating things that are made with fabrics that you trust and that are made in such a way that they reflect your creativity. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed visiting the Wallingford Senior Center at the Good Shepherd Center here in Seattle. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I have learning about water conservation and also learning about how we can better serve the world and also to have a different attitude about fashion. And I hope you're all blown away by Deborah Barnes and her presentation on fast fashion. Deborah and I have been friends for a long time, and I am just blown away by how she's still so together, so talented, such a great seamstress, such a great fashion designer, upcycling things like bed sheets into statement articles of clothing that look fantastic, and how she's still really energetic about bringing this philosophy to the world, to just about anybody who's willing to listen.